Take 4. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, we take a look at the Neca, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rasputin, and Genghis 2-pack. Today I'll be reviewing these figures in the following categories: accessories, articulation, design, are they essential to your collection, functionality, and price. Once all scores are totaled, I'll give you my opinion if these figures are a pass or a purchase. So I have to give a shout out to Tone, who really looked out and sent this 2-pack my way, as I know this is a repeating story, but I can't find these figures in my Target. So for accessories, what a surprise here. Neca doesn't disappoint. This 2-pack really comes packed, and let's start out with the head sculpts. We'll take a few seconds to look at both. So if there's one thing I love about accessories, well, scratch that. Not that I love about accessories, but if it's one thing that I appreciate when it comes to accessories is having an alternate head sculpt. And this looks pretty good. Paint apps mostly are clean. I thought that was a mark, but it's not. And you have that two-tone shading that Neca is known for with this particular line. And then you have this head, which is not identical. The mouth here is fully closed. As with the other, the teeth are open at the end. And then you receive two small frogs, almost call them turtles. Both are done exactly the same. However, each is in its proper color. Then for the alternate, or not the alternate heads, for any of the heads, you have this in disguise mask and hat, and this is really cool. Mine has some paint missing right here. And again, that two-tone, which I really like, it really translates well on this hat. Then let's just jump into the hands. So we get 3 pair of hands with each figure. To my surprise, this one came with fisted hands. This one didn't. What I assumed, being that a similar pair of hands are in package, that they made a mistake and packaged 2 of these hands. However, this opening is a lot larger than the one in packaging, so maybe this was done intentionally. Then you receive an axe, which looks pretty good. It has some chips in the axe, some paint. Then you get a bow, and you do have some tension to the string. I wouldn't mess with that. You get a quiver, which is made out of a flexible material, as well as the cord. You receive 4 arrows, so we'll focus on this one. I like how this looks. I don't remember this from the series, but Neca is known for giving us gems from series or movies. Then you get this, which I really don't remember what this was used for. I may have to do my research before this video ends. Then you receive 2 turtle comms. We have a number of these. However, the more the merrier. More accessories, I will not complain. So for overall accessories, I'm going to give this 2-pack a 10 out of 10. So for articulation, both figures are the same, so we'll only need to go through one. So the head isn't able to look up at all. It's pretty disappointing. It does come down, but it's not a lot of room. Not sure if you would call this pivot. It does rotate. Head is very limited. So with the arms, it comes out about that much. It does rotate a full 360. No upper bicep cut. Next point of rotation will be at the elbow, then at the wrists. The wrists are on hinges, so they go side to side. Taking a look at the torso, you can see the floating portion. Using just that, you get a decent amount of movement. It's pretty restricted from the shirt. As you can see, it's pretty thick. So crunching forward, he barely crunches forward, barely crunches back. Using the combination of the two, it's not much improvement forward. Some improvement backwards. You do get some, you get better rotation. You do have a swivel at the waist. So for the legs, surprised that they kick all the way out, nearly all the way out to the side. Forward, only about this much, maybe a bit more if you push it past this material. It kicks back very far. It has weird rotation, very weird rotation. And I mentioned this in my McFarlane Green Lantern review. If figures' legs can't turn like this, then the thigh cut is needed. Next point of rotation, well, let me take that back because now you get to rotate underneath the shorts. Next point of rotation is underneath the shorts themselves. Coming down to the feet, they're able to go down that much, all the way up, in great range of movement in and out. The knees are single jointed, bending in about that much. And I forgot to mention, there doesn't appear to be any butterfly jointing. I think I forgot to mention the elbow, which is single jointed, bending in about that much. So for overall articulation, limitation in the heads. The torso is pretty good. The legs work very well. Some limitation in the arms. So for overall articulation, I'll be giving these figures a 7 out of 10. So for design, let's just prop this on, as it will save us some time in the functionality department. And it fits very well. I wasn't expecting it to fit so well. So for design, it looks like these figures popped right out of the cartoon. I had to go back to the original series and take a quick peek, just to see if Neca did a fantastic job with these figures, and they absolutely did. The colors are accurate. The expressions are good. The shirt, what was that? Something sticky. Don't think it came that way out of package. And even down to their, should we call it a necklace? The only thing I wish this was loose, but I'm fine with it sitting that way, not an issue. Now, for the most part, my paint apps are clean. I do see an area right here. I tried to remove that, but it doesn't appear that it's coming off. The pegs are done in a pretty good color. I believe they actually match the darker green, but it looks well. Doesn't stick out that much. And with this peg, this one is pushed out a bit further. This one here is sunken in. I wonder if it's that way on the other side. It is. The shirts look good. There are some wrinkles in the arms. Very happy with what we get here. And for this one too, the paint apps are relatively clean. The pegs here are more prominent. I do have some areas of yellow or orange spots. You can see right here. So aside from those small paint imperfection, really no issues with the figures. So for overall design, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. So are these figures essential to your collection? So let's start with Rasputin. So we didn't get an original Playmates figure of this character, so this may be a one-off. So very happy that Neca decided to give us figures, and I think this is the second time that they've done so. They did so with the Trag and can't remember the other name, 2-pack, one of the figures we didn't get before. So very happy that Neca is actually giving us figures that we didn't receive. So when it comes to the frogs, they weren't an essential part of the series. I won't even say that they were important characters, but they were certainly around for more than one episode, unlike some figures that we have seen Neca do. So as far as being essential to your collection, they're not important characters. However, we haven't received this action figure before, at least in the original Playmates line. I'm going to give an extra point for that. So as far as being essential to your collection, I'm going to give this 2-pack a 6 out of 10. So for functionality, let's start with the hands. So to swap out the hands, they're pretty tight. On the other figure, I pulled some paint doing so. I want to quickly show you the size difference between the two grip hands. If you look at this one here, and then you look at this one here, you can see that this one is more open. So we'll leave those on to see if those play a part in some of the accessories that we have. Now, let's get to this part before I forget, the stand test. As you can see, the figures are able to stand. The legs are extremely loose, and perhaps this is due to people complaining that the joints were too tight. This is why I've said I would prefer a figure with tight joints. I would prefer to have to boil it or add heat than to have figures whose legs just flop. And it's on both of the figures, not just one. The legs just spread out way too easily, so that's something that I'm unhappy with and something I will be deducting points for. The other area I want to talk about is the head. So let's swap this out. But before we do so, you see why it's such limitation to how the head can move. The ball peg barely has any room to move, and the head is so large that it really encompasses all of this mass that is in here. So I wish that they would have done something a bit differently, perhaps extending this ball peg, maybe having the shirt lower would have allowed for the head to move a bit better. So for the head, it's not the easiest to get on, only because, well, I just mentioned because. All right, that's the wrong head. And you can see that some of the orange from the shirt has gotten on the head itself. Not happy with that. All right, so let's go with the quiver. Maybe I should have left the head off. May have to remove it. So once the head is off, I'm simply going to put the quiver around the arm, and I assume that it goes some way similar to this. I am not sure which side it goes on, his left or right, but we're going to leave it just like this. And now you receive 3 or 4 arrows. So let's put 3 of them into the quiver itself. Let's grab the bow, which I think will fit better in this gripping hand. Oh, it's wrong hand. It's upside. No, it's not upside down. Okay. And let's take a look at the string. Yeah, this is not something that you want to be tugging. It is flexible, but it is not meant to be flexed. So now with this, let me try to put this in between one of the fingers. Okay, so you're able to do that. There's no butterfly joint, so you're not going to get the arm where you need it to be. So it's going to be kind of difficult getting him to put this arrow in that crossbow. Yeah, I'm not sure how you're going to make that work. All right, but nevertheless, he does hold the weapon pretty well. The turtle comb, I think, will fit better in this hand. And it does. He holds that very well. Slide him to the side. Bring in this one. Back to this accessory, which I don't remember what it's for. I don't know if it goes over his head, if it goes over his foot, around his arm, if it's something he's meant to hold. But it appears wherever it goes, he's able to hold it, or it's able to go around where it needs to go around. So as far as the axe fits in, and that's held very tightly. So now let's talk about a few other things. One being this plastic or rubber that's used. It is extremely thick and limits the flexibility of this body. As you can clearly see that there's an A and B portion torso, but it is very hard to move. I've already talked about the limitations of the neck themselves, limitations in the arms, and with characters like this that have weapons, it needs to go up and down. Instead, it goes side to side, so I'll be deducting a point for that as well. And as I'm trying to stand him, the legs are just slowly separating. Can you see it? So for functionality, I'm deducting 1 point for the lack of mobility in the head. I'm deducting another point due to the fabric that's used, really restricting the torso, as without this fabric, the torso would have great movement. I'm also deducting 1 point for each leg, as they are super loose, and if I had the ability of exchanging these figures, I would. So for overall functionality, I'm going to give this 2-pack a 6 out of 10. So for pricing, this 2-pack comes in at $52. That's before taxes, that's before shipping. Throw in taxes, you're looking about $5, so $57. I actually had mine shipped, but it was more than just this figure. It was 2 figures in total. So I'm going to split the price in half and say it cost me $5 to have these figures shipped. So at a price point of $62, are these figures worth the price of admission? Well, at first, let's see what they come with. In terms of accessories, Neca truly doesn't disappoint with this line. You get so many accessories, some that I'm sure are super specific to the cartoon itself, such as this one, which I just don't remember what it's for. So the accessories for this is a real strong point. You get extra hands, extra head sculpts, and accessories. In terms of accessories, there's no more that I want. Now, there are some drawbacks with these figures. The mobility is certainly an issue. These figures certainly could have benefited off of butterfly joints, especially this figure, given that he has a quiver and a bow. It's just impossible to get those two arms to work close enough together so that you can place one accessory on the other. Also, there's some issues with the paint. Minor paint splotches, which is okay, but there's also some rub, which I showed earlier on one of these figures. So to look at the price point, really it breaks down to $26 for each figure. Do I think that these figures are worth $26 each? Absolutely. So for pricing, I'll be giving this 2-pack a 10 out of 10. So that will give this 2-pack an overall clip score of 48 out of 60. So now, is this 2-pack a pass or a purchase? If you're collecting this turtle line, this is absolutely a purchase. This is two great additions to what seems like the never-ending NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy lines. I am rooting. I hope that it continues. I hope that the figures become more accessible, and NECA is allowing us to purchase them on their website, which is a great way for fans such as myself that's unable to find them in Target or Walmart. So let me clean up my display base and get ready for some comparisons. Here are both figures by themselves. Here is the original Playmate version of... which one? I think Genghis, but it could be one of the other two frogs. I am not sure. And you can see much different the cartoon version and the toy version, as this one has bumps all over it. And I had the arm. My son broke that. You know, he's just breaking everything. All right, so pretty hard for these figures, this figure to stand. So I'm going to have to hold it that way. Now, this is one of the other frogs from the original Playmate line. I don't remember which one this is, and this looks nothing like the frogs themselves. Back in the 80s, toys were notorious for looking nothing like their cartoon counterparts. With that out the way, let's take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time, Baxter Stockman, which I recently reviewed. Sorry about that. Let's also throw in the Super 7 Baxter Stockman, based off the original Playmates toy. Okay, that may not work. I think I'm going to have to do it like this. So this will conclude this video. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you during the next video.